Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM. KFYO. We'll get into some of the local headlines. And also we've got, let me see how many stories I have here. At least 12 headlines over the course of a week about how we can take what we've learned about the coronavirus and how we can apply it towards climate change. And it's not just those in the big newspapers talking about this. It's also one guy who sometimes falls asleep when he's talking about running for president, Joe Biden. Joining us on the phones to talk about that and much more going on with the 2020 election, former chairman of the Texas Republican Party and state Republican Executive Committee member Tom Mechler joining us once again here on the Chad Hasty Show. Tom, welcome back. How are you today?
Hey, Chad, thank you for having me. I'm fantastic. It's good to talk to you again. It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, it has been a while. It has been, and we're glad to have you once again here on the program. I want to start off with obviously the 2020 election. It is may not be on the top of mind of everybody, including Joe Biden, but it is going on right now. And I mentioned coming into the call with you. You have some on the left who want to take the reactions that we've seen from coronavirus, whether it's shutting down corporations, doing different things, and they want to apply some of this towards climate change. And it sounds like Joe Biden might be all on board with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. He's so beholden to environmental interest. Sometimes when I think about Joe Biden, I think of this little puppet, and he's the puppet, and then there's a puppet master, and the environmental lobby and the people that live and breathe that stuff, they are manipulating him. It never ceases to amaze me the level of hypocrisy that's taking place on the Democratic side of this thing. They're sitting there telling us, like Biden saying, "Oh, how wonderful!" I think the quote was he saw the coronavirus pandemic as an opportunity. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? An opportunity? Opportunity for what? Well, it's a chance to restructure the state. It's a chance for climate change to get realigned so we can stop all these horrible fossil fuels. Well, the hypocrisy part of that, not only is that so absurd that he would make such a ridiculous statement, especially for us Texans, 2 million of us work in the oil and gas industry, and it's the effect it has on our economy. The oil and gas industry is like $308 billion of our gross domestic product for the state. But you even put that aside and say, well, where's the hypocrisy? Well, these guys, he's flying around in airplanes. He's driving these expensive, fancy limos. They're not riding bicycles, right? They're not driving electric cars. They're all in these fossil fuel vehicles and planes and everything, which I would argue is there is no other way to do that. But so why would they do that? So there's this whole approach that these liberal Democrats have is let's try and shrink this thing down. Let's depress the economy. Let's make it smaller and smaller because we don't want to be burning those horrible fossil fuels, which is ridiculous at a multiple angle because you're like, wouldn't you think that economic opportunity would be important to this nation? It's certainly as important to the state of Texas. Yeah. But, sometimes I wonder, is Joe Biden, is he in Colorado smoking pot or something? Or what? Where did he come up with this crazy stuff?
Visiting with Tom Mechler here on the Chad Hasty Show. Hey, speaking of hypocrisy, and this, it seems to be a growing story, maybe not on CNN or MSNBC, but, I've seen it a few times on Fox this morning, these sexual assault allegations that have gone up against Joe Biden. If you look at what happened with Brett Kavanaugh, and the media could not wait to make this, front page, big headline, and not only could they not wait to make it a headline, they condemned him, and they can basically the media convicted Brett Kavanaugh when he was going through this process. Joe Biden, he's got sexual assault allegations now lobbied against him. 5 independent people have come forward corroborating the story of his one accuser, and you're not seeing a lot of press on this just yet. Do you think this is going to grow into a national story as it should be?
Well, when you say a national story, it will on the conservative side of the reporting the media, but there's also, very, very, there is some very good media also in the middle. Wall Street Journal is one that I have tremendous confidence in, and because they're fair, they don't take sides in this, so they report the news. That's what you would expect the media to do. And I think, it continues to grow because what they've done, I believe the woman's name is Tara Reid. People need to remember this is not some kind of a radical right-wing person trying to take down the Democratic nominee. This woman is a staunch Democrat. She's been a Democrat, I believe, almost her entire adult life, and she worked for him, and she was assaulted. And so what do? Joe Biden's the guy that when all the stuff, which I think was bogus against Kavanaugh. I have tremendous respect for that gentleman. His wife is actually from Abilene, and I know her dad. And there's just a wonderful, beautiful family. This is a God-fearing couple, and they've raised their children in a God-fearing home. And so the slander that they threw against him was just beyond the pale. And so we listen to that, and this doesn't even add up. So here we come along, and what does Joe Biden say about that? He says, every woman should be listened to. That's what he says. Well, the hypocrisy is this is a woman who stepped forward, Tara Reid, and said, this is what he's done to me. And so what do? Well, they just ignore her. They're not going to listen to her. Why? Because the ramifications of that are out. I mean, they're really huge. And, Joe Biden, and I just appreciate his willingness to serve as vice president in the Senate. I mean, I think anybody that is willing to put themselves out there for the nation, I think we ought to appreciate them for what they've done, the contribution they made to the country. I think his politics are outrageous. I mean, obviously, he and I are on very opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But here you have a situation where another act, as you just mentioned, is hypocrisy. What's the hypocrisy in this? So he says every woman should be listened to. Except for the people that have come forward to tell their side of what you've done to them, but you don't want to listen to them, and it's just a big hush campaign. So what's going to happen is the New York Times, the CNN, which is the most atrocious network in existence, MSNBC, they're paralleling that. They're not going to talk about it. They're not probably going to mention her name. They're not going to say that there's ever been an accusation.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the number of liberal Democrats, they drink that Kool-Aid and they think these guys are right in the gospel. I mean, and so they believe everything they tell them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Conservative Republicans and Republicans and independents don't all listen to CNN. And so the truth's getting out there. And I think what's happened in her case, this woman who, she's been demonized by them, and it has not silenced her. It's actually emboldened her, and she's like, "Well, then I'm gonna make my statement. Now I'm gonna get into the details, And she has begun to express, she began to articulate what happened to her, and it's not like this crazy thing that the liberals tried to do to Kavanaugh. They came out of nowhere with this woman and makes this accusation, which wasn't collaborated. But here you have a situation when all that happened with Tara Reid and Biden. She did go to people. She did try and get some help from that. And so now, the whole Me Too movement, I'm not going to say whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's been manipulated. I think you have liberals that have grabbed hold of that, manipulated to try and take down conservative Republicans. And here you have a situation where, they have a problem because their pursuing candidate is the one that's got the problem. And it's going to take down their nominee. And so what are they going to do? They're going to act like that doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they've minimized the Me Too movement through that, and they've completely marginalized everything about what they said that they were supporting. And so really what it is, if you think about it, Chad, it's just a manipulation tool that they use to try and attack people, Republicans. People don't agree with them. We talk a lot over the years. I was the state chairman, of course, too, and it was like, what's this political correctness? A conservative person would say something in a group or whatever, they make a comment about their belief system, and, they say, you can't say that. Why can't I say it? Well, it's because it's not politically correct. Well, when I was chairman, I used to tell people I gave 190 speeches in 26 months, and I'd say, look, political correctness is the liberals' way to take away our First Amendment free speech rights. They're saying it's not politically correct. In other words, you don't have a right to say it. Only they have a right to tell their values. And I encourage everybody listening to your show, don't let people do that to you. Put your foot down and say, you're not going to silence me. I'm an American. I have just as much right to speak my mind as you have.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on here. It's just a continuation of this game they've been trying to play. We have this extraordinary president. President Trump, I remember I was talking with some friends, Chad. You might felt the same way. Even when we had a Republican president in the past, we were kind of just hoping that they would do 2 or 3 of their campaign promises in the first year. Donald Trump, as president, was fulfilling a campaign promise every single day. And it went on for like 100 days there. And he still is fulfilling promises that he told us. This is what you're going to get. When I run for president, President Trump said during that time, I want you to know what you're going to get if I'm elected. This is what I'm going to do. Well, praise God that the American people elected him president, and he has done exactly what he promised us he would do. That is extraordinary. I mean, in my opinion, he's just such a remarkable leader, and I think it's going to be a landslide. I think, I feel like Biden, I feel sorry for him sometimes. He really struggles. He has memory lapses. There was a time he was giving a speech not so many months ago in South Carolina. He said he was running for the Senate.
Yeah,
he was running for president.
He needs to retire. He needs to go enjoy either the mountains or the beach, whatever he enjoys. That's where he should be. Tom Mechler, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Chad, thank you so much, and all the best to you. God bless you and your listeners, and it's always a pleasure to be on the phone with you.
All right, always nice visiting with you. That's Tom Mechler here on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk KFYO.